529s are meh. Hi, this is financial planner Sean Mullaney. Let's discuss. So, unlike a lot of other personal finance content creators, I myself am mostly down, sort of meh on the 529. I've got 5 reasons I'm meh on the 529. First of all, it prioritizes a tactic over a goal. So let's talk about that for a second. So, mom and dad have their newborn and they're in their late 20s or early 30s. What should mom and dad at this point in their life be prioritizing? I would argue that mom and dad in their financial planning, whether it's on their own or with a professional, should prioritize setting goals that set them up for success in their financial future. And once they've established those goals, they can then look to the available tactics, which in theory could include a 529 plan. But let's think about it when we're young parents. Young parents ought to be prioritizing stabilizing their own financial future. Why do they do that? Well, one, so that they themselves can maybe one day retire and have financial stability. But think about it from Junior's perspective for a second. Won't it be great for Junior to have his parents be economically stable during Junior's childhood? What about when Junior becomes an adult? Won't it be great for Junior to know that mom and dad are financially stable, right? If parents want to inflict some pain on their adult children, one way to do that, sadly, is for the parents who are now a little more elderly to themselves be financially unstable. So by prioritizing, by setting that primary goal of mom and dad being able to retire and be financially stable while Junior is a child, that buys mom and dad financial stability, and it buys Junior so much stability. It's a great gift to give to your children, your own financial security. Shouldn't you prioritize that over a shiny tactic, the 529, which can have use cases, can be good, but should that be the priority? You think about, newborn is born, you get them baptized. On the way home, you've got a relative in your ear. Oh, you got to set up a 529. Isn't this so great? Well, shouldn't you start off by prioritizing your goals and your own stability first, which will then have a lot of benefits for your young child? All right, the second reason I'm meh on the 529 is the use restrictions, right? Whenever we put money into any sort of basket, any sort of tax categorization, we got to think about, well, wait a minute, what are the use restrictions on that, right? And if we think about taxable brokerage accounts, we think about Roth IRAs, traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, we look at their use restrictions. Generally speaking, their use restrictions are actually less onerous than the use restrictions on the 529. That's actually even true of the HSA. I recently blogged about that issue. Let's think about the 529 for a second. If it is not used for one very specific type of expense, a qualified educational expense, guess what? The earnings are subject not only to ordinary income tax, so no favored qualified dividend income tax rate, ordinary income tax, and likely the 10% penalty, right? So that's a really onerous use restriction. Why are parents who are not yet themselves financially independent signing up for a use restriction on the use of their own money? To my mind, that doesn't make sense when we're not yet financially independent. All right, here's the third reason I'm not so hot on the 529. It gives us a tax break that frankly isn't all that valuable. Let's think about how investment income is taxed in the United States today, particularly for younger parents who are just building up their wealth and maybe they don't have a ton in taxable financial assets, right? Qualified dividend income on many of the dividends paid by those assets, long-term capital gains rates on a lot of the capital gains that might be generated by those assets, right? The problem of taxation of investment income in this country is not that bad, particularly if we look back maybe 25 years ago. Investment income was taxed at a higher rate than it is today, generally speaking. So, I look at it and I say, boy, this tax break isn't all that great. And even the state tax break isn't all that great. It's only a state tax deduction in some states. There's some states with a credit. Look at the 3 largest states by population: California, Texas, Florida. In all 3 of those states, there's no upfront tax benefit for putting the money in the 529. So even there, we're only getting a very modest tax benefit. All right, here's the fourth issue I've got with the 529 is that it solves for the wrong problem, right? We can all agree that college affordability is a significant problem in the United States. Well, how do we solve for it? By getting a tax break? Like, is that the answer to the college affordability problem? This thing isn't affordable, so let me get some tax breaks? I don't see that as the solution, right? The 529 creates a tax benefit when the problem is college affordability. And there are ways we can go about the affordability issue. Maybe junior can get some AP credits. Maybe junior can go to community college. Maybe junior can get a scholarship, go to state school, graduate in 3 years instead of 4, right? There are different things. They're not going to be appropriate or applicable in each situation. But to my mind, to say, well, college is unaffordable, so let's get a tax benefit, that just doesn't, 2 and 2 are not adding up there, right? And then fifth, unfortunately, the 529 feeds the beast, right? So I've got a lot of questions for college administrators in the 21st century. And frankly, I think the American public's owed some answers, right? Are college graduates graduating with critical thinking skills, or are they just learning how to take tests? Why do we have so many administrators at college? Why do we have administrator to professor ratios that appear to be out of whack? Why do we have so many college graduates graduating with crippling 6-figure debt loads, right? So if I'm looking at the world of higher education in the United States, I've got to be pretty critical and I've got to ask a lot of questions. Right? So aren't we feeding the beast that's creating this hyperinflation in college tuition if we set money aside and we say, okay, this money is generally speaking going to this one and only one industry, and if it doesn't go to them, we have to pay ordinary income tax and a 10% penalty, and right? If I'm a college administrator used to soaring college tuition and fees, and I'm sort of happy about that, right? That helps my industry. Don't I want people to be putting more and more and more money into the 529s so that's more and more money my industry gets in the future without having to be responsive to the concerns that the American public has about higher education in this country? All right, so if those are my concerns with 529s, what's a different path that one could take, right? Well, maybe newborn parents, when junior is born, they start saying, look, we have taxable brokerage accounts in our own name. We're going to start mentally segregating some of those assets into things that could be for juniors' college education. They'll remain our assets, our own names. And then guess what? If junior's doing well, if junior gets grades to go to college and we're doing well financially, right? Great. The money's there. We pay a little capital gains tax. We move on. We pay for junior's education. But what if junior gets a scholarship? What if junior goes to trade school? Or what if mom and dad are not financially stable at that point in time? Guess what? That money can be redeployed to help mom and dad be financially stable and give junior one less thing to worry about when he or she is out there trying to earn their own living and provide for their own financial future. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.